My name's Nicole Lehrer. I'm 42. I live in Land O'Lakes, Florida, which is close. I'm in the Tampa Bay area. And I'm married with 2 kids. I started having a lot of abdominal pain. I started noticing that I was nauseous when my husband would drive, and he drives very slow, so he wouldn't understand why I was getting so nauseous every time we were in the car. I would start having just random extreme abdominal pain, and it would come and go. Sometimes it would stay for a couple minutes or just last a while. As the year went on, I started developing other symptoms. I had urgency to urinate, however, nothing would ever come out. I would be there forever. I'd always find a bathroom. So that kind of started coming about as well. I then started getting chest pain, and it just all started. It was just a lot of symptoms, and I just didn't know what was going on. So because of my prior cancer diagnosis when I was 26, I had breast cancer, and I battled that. So it's been 15 years since that. So in my head, I'm just scared that it was cancer again. So I tried going to all these specialists. I had allergy tests done. I saw my gastro. I went to a cardiologist. I went to all of these doctors, had all these tests done. Nothing would ever come, and everyone would always be like, nope, you're fine. So as the year progressed, the symptoms just got worse. I was finding it hard to eat, and after a couple bites, I would get extremely full, and towards the end of the year, it was actually painful to eat. So I knew something wasn't right, and yet all these doctors kept just disguising all the symptoms, giving me like GERD medicine or like any abdominal medications that there are out there. It's just everything to mask what was really going on. So towards the end of the year, it was around September, I went to the ER. I just went to like one of the little freestanding ERs. I went in, they did all these tests. The doctor came back and told me, you're fine, and you just need to go home and take a stool softener and you'll be fine. So then I go home, and it's just frustrating because every day it just kept getting worse, and I just felt like none of the providers were listening to me. So it wasn't until a couple months after that the symptoms got extremely worse, and I happened to be going to my OB-GYN for my yearly. I told him about the pain that I was having, and he goes, well, we'll just send you for an ultrasound. A simple ultrasound could have helped all of this. So he sent me, and that night, after I had it done, he called me and said, it doesn't look good. They found a huge mass on my omentum, and so he said, I'm going to send you for another test, and go ahead and get it with contrast. And so I went the next day, had that done. He called me again and said, I want you to schedule an appointment with Moffitt Cancer Center. They had planned that they were going to do the total hysterectomy and get everything out, and then I would start my chemotherapy treatments. So they sent me for my scans and blood work and all that to start the pre-op and all of that good stuff. And we met back about an hour after with the oncologist, and she said, plans have changed. We're not going to be doing the surgery. We found that there was cancer up by your clavicles and by your heart, which makes sense why I was having all the chest pain, and so it was all just coming together. So she said, we're going to start you on chemotherapy right away, and you're going to have 7 treatments every 3 weeks. And so they started me on carboplatin and Taxol. So it was every 3 weeks, and the chemo was 7 hours for that day. So the first time around when I did have cancer in 2009, they didn't have all of the things that they have now. I feel like it's just a lot more evolved, and I feel like cancer is everywhere right now. So when I had to go through breast cancer when I was 26, I had the double mastectomy, I had 12 rounds of chemo, and I lost all of my hair. Now they have these treatment options. They call it cold cap. So that's what I wanted to do this year, because I knew that I was going to be going through it all over again, and all the old emotions came back. And I know it's just hair, but I mean, that's how women identify, is their hair. And so, it's the little thing that I could do to make myself feel a little more normal when I would wake up, look at myself in the mirror, stuff like that. So I opt to do that. After my first 4 treatments, they did the scan again, and they said that because I was BRCA positive, that the chemotherapy is very receptive to the BRCA gene. So after every single chemotherapy, they measured the ovarian cancer by the CA-125 lab that they do. When I first was diagnosed, so the normal range is 0 to 30 or 35. And when I was diagnosed last January, it was 3,300. So after every time I would have the chemo, they measure the CA-125, and it would decrease in half. And it was just awesome seeing those numbers go down, because I just felt like it was working. And so after the 4 chemos, I had the other scan. All these spots by my clavicle and my heart were, they disappeared. So I was cleared for surgery. I got into surgery on April 29th, and I went in, and the doctor was just planning on doing a total hysterectomy, getting the omentum, fallopian tubes, ovaries, like all of the girl goodies out, and then I'd be done. It'd be a couple hours, and I'd be all set. So my husband was waiting in the waiting room, and he's like, I don't understand what's taking so long. So he went back, and he's like, is everything okay? And so he ended up finding out that once my oncologist opened me up, there was cancer on my liver, my diaphragm, my bladder, my small intestine, and in addition to all the girl parts. So she personally said that she dug her hand up behind my lung and my diaphragm and scraped off this gray slimy cancer, and she just went exploring everywhere. So instead of a nice little scar, I have it's about 13 inches going vertically down the middle of my abdomen. And that pain was the worst pain when I woke up. I literally remember just looking at my husband saying, I just want to die. It was so excruciating. Just not the cut and being wide open, but I mean, she messed with every single organ in there. So I had a lot of breathing problems because of the cancer in the diaphragm. So that was a pretty scary part as well. Just I remembering ever so often, I felt like I couldn't get any air, and I'd be gasping for air. It was just a scary situation. So I had about 3 to 4 weeks that I recouped at home. They did send me home with a catheter bag, which that was fun, trying to hide that from the kids as well. But I put the bag inside a little fabric bag. After I recouped, I had to finish up the chemo, and I had 3 more rounds left. And I finished on July 5th last year, and they started me on a drug called Jazula, and it's supposed to help with the cells and just the cancer growing back and all of that. Scientifically, I really don't know what it does, but it's supposed to work. So I get on that pill, and then within a month, I end up back at a Moffitt Hospital, staying overnight. They had to give me platelet and blood transfusion just because the medications dropped my levels so low that it was around like 12,000. And so I went in for the infusions, and then after about a month after that, my body recouped. They put me on a new drug called Lynparza. So that's what I've been on for the past year. And I do go back monthly for my CA-125 and to meet with the doctor. And I have been cancer-free since last July.
That's good, girl.
I thought, I really didn't even think I would make it to my birthday in May last year. And I just remember when I got diagnosed, like, you hear stage 4 and it's scary. And there's not, I haven't been able to meet too many women that are past a year or 5 years. So it's very scary. I wish there was more avenues to try and meet up with women my age that are like just killing it, and they're like 10 years out. I know it's just a very aggressive thing, and it's scary, and so I think that's what my fears are now, is just it coming back. My husband has definitely been my rock the whole time. He was extremely scared, and he just didn't know what he had to do and what we were up against, but he was definitely my rock. He was always encouraging and positive, and it wouldn't be until like after the kids went to sleep and I hobbled up the stairs, and once I went in the bedroom and I closed the door and locked it, like I just would break down every single night crying. And I felt like I had to give myself that time to kind of grieve and go through the emotions, because I was hiding it so much during the day that it just wasn't healthy for me to keep this all inside. And so even today, it's still hard not to think about not being here, because it's scary. But it has gotten a lot better as I see how strong I have been and how well my body does react to all of this medicine. And at some point, like, I really wasn't religious, but I needed to lean on something. And I don't know if it's God or just, a higher power, or I think of my great grandma up there or something. But I know someone's looking out for me, and that I'm definitely supposed to be here, because I went through a lot of crap, and most women aren't here when they get all of that, and they realize there's cancer on more than 5 of their organs and next to their heart, and it's just crazy that I am still here, and I'm just very lucky that I'm able to be here for my kids and my husband, and I'm just happy that I didn't give up and that I was super strong. I have family in Connecticut that I'm extremely close with. I have great neighbors and best friends down here, so I have a lot of people and a great support system, and I think that helps tremendously. We did end up telling our kids. I wanted to wait until it was a year. So when we had the year celebration on July 5th, we sat down our kids, and my husband was like, because I have celiac disease too, so my kids always knew that my stomach's always hurting and stuff like that. So they think I went into the hospital and the doctor took gluten out of me. They didn't realize that the doctor took cancer out. So, my husband and I got pretty good at just like coming up with how to talk about the cancer without our kids realizing what we're talking about. So we got pretty good at it, but then just eventually I'm just like, you know what? It's year out. I'm healthy. It's gone. And I just need to let them know, what I went through last year so they understand and that they can even, be more helpful or be there for me and feel like they're included in this. So we promised them that if it ever did come back again, we would let them know and they would be involved. Just at the time last year, I just didn't feel like it was the right time. But now I have their support, and they love dressing up they call it Pink Ribbon Day, so now they have Teal Day as well. So they love all of it. They love the walks we go to, the fundraisers, and all of that good stuff. I go back every month for blood work and a doctor's visit. They said they wouldn't do any scans unless I had abdominal pain or something felt off or I felt something somewhere. So that's kind of uneasy, but I know scans aren't always the healthiest to keep doing to your body and all of that. But so yeah, I feel safe at least. I'm monitored closely, and it's not just, every 6 months I go, like I'm there every couple weeks. So I kind of like being followed that closely. So it kind of eases your fears a little bit. I'm going to try and stay on this Lynparza as long as I possibly can. And I definitely changed my diet. I do a lot of research on supplements, and there's just so many things out there that are natural that I feel just make a huge impact. So I'm just constantly learning about things and trying to read or listen to other people's stories. Trust your instincts, your body, and all of that. Don't let these physicians just try and mask what you're feeling with medication. And because if that was the case, I wouldn't be in this predicament right now. But I feel that because I did keep pushing and that something was wrong, is the reason why I am here today. So you just gotta look out for yourself.